Oh my God, what a game one. What a game one. First of all, thank you to Stream East for saving me from YouTube TV and TNT's Bull. That's the only reason I got to see the last 5 minutes of this game. But Jesus, I am still shaking. I've had anxiety from the beginning of this game to now, and this is just absolutely amazing. I don't even know what to say of what I just watched. Jimmy Butler just put on. This man is a elite scorer. He's an elite passer, and the man is a that man is a all pro first team cornerback. This is insane of what we just witnessed this man produce today on a basketball court. 35.7 rebounds, 5 assists, all 5 assists and 6 steals, all to put this Boston Celtics team away tonight. Wait, hold on. Let me make the community post. A couple things we need to get through. First things first. In that first half, I was very, very pissed because Boston was finding every single way to get to the rim, and we were literally giving them what we were making Marcus Smart look like Steve Nash out there with how easy we were giving driving lanes to the rim and how easily we leaving the rim wide open for lobs to Rob Williams. All that shit ended in the second half, and I love it. One thing I do love today is that we are able to keep off offensively with Boston Celtics, but with the way we shot the three tonight, look, I'm going to be completely honest with everybody here. We're not going to shoot the three like that every other night. So we do need to clamp up in the first half and not allow them to get 67 points in the first half. Obviously, now we had an absolute generational 3-point shooting night and absolute generational third quarter. So you know what? Throw it up. Everything. We're just happy you got the win. But going forward, we need to tighten up that defense. Gabe, Max, and Caleb, you guys specifically are the ones that were getting blown by the most in that first half. You guys could not stay in front of Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. We need to tighten that up from the beginning next game. Jason Tatum had 30 and Jaylen Brown had 22. These are pretty good games for both of them. We need to cut that shit out next game, please. But the offense is working. We're getting to the free throw line. Bam came out aggressive. It didn't even feel like he only took 13 shots tonight. He had 20 and 8. And it felt like, sup, John? He had 20 and 8 tonight, and it felt like he had a 30 to he felt like he had a 30-point performance, how he affected the game. Another thing, do not want to see any more Cody Zeller minutes. Please, no more Cody Zeller minutes. That's gonna kill me. He was only a -6, but he felt like it was a -30. That comeback that they made earlier in the fourth quarter was on his back. No more Cody Zeller. I would love to if this once the Celtics take out Robert Williams and they go small with Derek White and Al Horford at the 5. If Bam's gonna sit out, I would love to see Haywood Highsmith down there as that small ball 5. Not only is he very switchable, but he has the body to at least wall up for to make it easy, make it harder. They're gonna have to just live with them shooting over them. Cruel. Hey, John, the good looking. I'm changing the title right now. But absolutely amazing game. Let me change the title of the stream and then we'll get to a couple stats real fast. I will be putting the link in the chat, so if anybody wants to pop in and say hello and talk about what you saw, go right ahead. But that's the stream link. I can't change it on the man. This thing sucks. Studios, the title directly on the website. This is taking too long. I'm so sorry. Jimmy Butler and the sorry, I'm changing the YouTube. I'm changing the title right now. We've already went through Jimmy being a all pro cornerback. We've already went through Bam's aggressiveness. We already went through. We don't need to see any more Cody Zeller minutes, please. And we really, really, really don't need to see any, and I mean any more of that blow by shit. We need to wall up like we did in the second half, just like we did in the second from the beginning. Marcus Smart was looking like Steve Nash, and Jason Tatum was. Okay, title change. Now we can get to this. Now we can get to a couple. Let me go with all the new people here. Let's go over the first parts of what I talked about. Jimmy tonight looks like an all-pro safety. Scored at will tonight. Missed a couple bunnies. here and there. I think he was 12 of 25, so he didn't shoot 50%, and it felt like it was. It's crazy to feel like felt like he wasn't shooting too well on it a little bit a second ago. Top 5 player right now. Yeah. Top seven. Let me say, Jokic, Steph, Luca, Tatum is definitely up there. KD, maybe Jimmy, maybe top 6, top 7 in my eyes right now with the way he's playing. But tonight, Bam, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Really good defense in that second half. They were getting to the rim at will, and they shut that shit down. Kyle tonight off the bench gave us 30 points, and they were the only ones that scored off the bench, but they shot amazingly. Combined, there were 6 of 11. Yeah, 6 of 11 from 3 tonight. Combined. Jimmy over Tatum, I can't be too mad at that, really. I really can't. I can't be too mad at this. If you have any questions, of course, super chats are very much accepted. We'll get to those questions immediately as soon as you send them in chat. But tonight, everybody came to play well. Tonight, I know we shot the cover off the ball. 16 of 31 from 3. That's absolutely insane shooting tonight. One thing I would like to harp on, we were in -6 with Cody Zeller on the court. It felt like we were in -30. We need Haywood Highsmith in that small ball 5 whenever Robert Williams does come out the game. Can't have Cody Zeller giving us absolutely nothing. He was getting out rebounded. He was getting bullied down low. You watch Jason Tatum just put his shoulder into that man and just wall him off away. The whistle in the first half was awful. I was very much getting mad at the fact that but also it's on the Heat's on point of attack defenders for letting the Celtics get in those positions to draw fouls anyway. But that was cleaned up in the second half immediately. I love in that third quarter. What did we score? We scored 46 points in that third quarter. And Joe Mazzulla, I think, may have called I don't think he called a timeout. He called one timeout while beginning of that fourth quarter. First 90 seconds in, Celtics going a 6-0 run, immediate timeout by Coach Spo. That's the difference between coaching here. You used to got, hey, John, what's up? Pop in with me.
Mazzulla, how about him with the timeout in the third quarter? What do you think of that?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Didn't decide to call a timeout at all. This is my friend John. I will have after we're done with the stream, I'll have his YouTube in the title. You guys can go check it out. Actually, you can put it in the chat if you want to.
We'll do. Appreciate it.
I'll bring it up. But yeah, that's the difference between coaching here. Joe Mazzulla watched his team get absolutely decimated in that third quarter and decided not to call a single timeout. Eric Spoelstra, first 90 seconds of that third quarter, Celtics going a 6-0 run. Timeout. What the hell are y'all doing? Let's recalibrate. Let's get back into this. He never let them come back into this game. Down the stretch, Jimmy was just being Jimmy. I really can't say anything much about that, right? He was just giving them way more than they can handle. He didn't even shoot crazy well tonight. He was 12 for 25, which is pretty good, but the standards we saw early in the playoffs where he was shooting 60% sometimes, and he was missing some bunnies. Of course, you can also chalk it up to the Celtics defense on some of those drives. They had their rim protectors really going really well, at least protecting the rim and forcing Jimmy to take a lot of high shots. Even off those dribble handoffs, Tatum was really coming over hard, and Jimmy had to take some really difficult jumpers, and some of them went down, but obviously some of them didn't. But tonight, 35.7 rebounds, 5 of 6, 6 steals. I cannot complain. He got that pull-up through again, and he nailed it. That's the biggest positive omen I've ever seen in my life. Same shot, except he nailed it this time. But I will say that we need to do a better job in the first half of not letting Boston go crazy. Because we can't bank on a 46-point third quarter, especially with us being one of the worst third quarter shooting teams. We just had a crazy night tonight. But we can't bank on that. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart were looking like freaking Steve Nash in that first half. We were over helping a little too much, and Robert Williams was just either getting on the offensive glass or getting wide open alley-oops. Need to be able to wall up like we did in that first half, keep them out of the paint so that we're not in this position. Tonight they didn't shoot crazy well. I think 34% from 3, but but some of the looks are very contested. Jason Tatum wasn't getting a clear look from 3 all night, but that's also because he was also getting the paint. We were overplaying the 3, and what I would love to do is keep in that mid-range area, because I don't know why people think he's the next Kobe, because that man in the mid-range is absolutely garbage.
He broke.
He's
broke,
absolutely
man.
garbage in the mid
And
range.
speaking of mid-range, you see going into the fourth quarter, you guys were 11 of 16 in the in-between space. Do you think you guys can sustain that? Because all
Hell no.
postseason long,
Hell
I've
no.
heard people say you can't, but you continue to sustain the three-point shooting where you shot 50% this tonight from
Listen,
downtown.
John, I'm gonna tell you right now, the 3-point shooting, yes, I think we can sustain that to a certain level between 36 to 40%. Because in the second half of the season, we were top 10. Once we got Kevin Love back, we got actual reasonable spacing. Kyle came back healthy, and everything was just clicking. Everybody was making shots. Jimmy was starting to take threes in that second half. So the shooting from three is sustainable. We just shot the cover off the damn ball in Milwaukee where we should average like 45%, which is insane. But I think 36 to 40% is definitely sustainable. The mid-range shooting, though, between the only guys I'm sustainably always going to count on in the mid-range, which I guess is really all we need, is Bam, Jimmy, and Kyle. Gabe is up and down with his shooting from anywhere. Max Strus obviously is always working behind that 3-point line. He just had to step in a couple times this game because they were overplaying on that three. He took a couple of deep ones and nailed him this game because they weren't letting him get regular shots there. Duncan saw a couple minutes, missed 2 threes, and he was getting hunted on defense. Coach supposed to get on the bench. You're not getting back in for the rest of this game. He needs to do the same thing to Cody Zeller. I do not need to see Cody Zeller. Once Robert Williams goes out, Haywood Highsmith should be coming in as a small ball 5 because at least he can play on the perimeter with Jason Tatum. I watched Jason Tatum go up and put his shoulder into Cody Zeller as a 7-footer and got him out the way for a layup. I don't need that. He was getting beat on the offensive glass, and he was horrible cuts, especially on the pick and roll. Jimmy hit him with a nice pass, but he did that cut late, missed it, turnover. I can't have that. I can't have that anymore. Kevin Love in the 16 minutes he played tonight, absolutely great. Hit a couple three. I think he hit 2 threes tonight. Touchdown passes, great rebounding when we needed it. Did exactly what he needed this game. We got 30 points off the bench tonight, and that was only by 2 players, Kyle Lowry and Caleb Martin.
31.
Caleb, great.
I'm sorry, I can't read. It was 30.
Caleb was 3 for 7 from 3 tonight. I can't count on him to do that every single night, but great from him. But what I love is the fact that he knows he's been great at attacking closeouts. He's normally on the receiving end of those Jimmy drives, and he's normally the guy they try to leave open, they rotate off of, and when they try to close out on him, he does a great job of recognizing where they're coming from to at least get to the rim or make a play to get somebody else open. Overall, I think everybody had some synergy tonight. Bam, it didn't even feel like he shot 13 shots tonight. It felt like he was absolutely like dominating them completely this game. But overall, what did you see? I talked a lot just now. What did you see?
My heart is beating. Pretty insane game from Bam in the second half and third quarter, and DeMarcus Smart in the first half, where you're making the comparison to Steve Nash. I felt like looked like a prime Jason Kidd in the first 2 quarters of the game.
Honestly, bro, I'm like, bro, where did this come from? I know he's a good passer, but bro, he's decimating us.
Yeah, he's shown a little bit of improvement over the years. But look, man, I think Bam is gonna do the same thing he did last year, where it's Jekyll and Hyde. In game 2, he has like 13 points on 9 shot attempts, and he's just
don't wish that evil on us. Don't wish that evil on us. Don't do that.
I gotta be real with you. Don't you see that coming?
Not in this. If he misses shots, yes, but I don't think the aggressiveness is going to disappear from him. He understands that with Tyler out, especially with Vic out too, since Vic was normally the primary defender when coming off the bench for Jaylen Brown, especially in those second halves. With those guys out, he's going to need to be more aggressive on the offensive end. And Robert Williams, unless he's a roamer, he can't do anything on the defensive end. So Bam is definitely going to take him off the dribble. Al Horford doesn't have the feet to keep up with him, so he can get whatever he wants if he decides to actually attack the rim and actually play to his game. He's going to have that mid-range shot all game, so I think earlier on in the game, he probably takes a couple of those middies. Hopefully he sees at least two out of 4 of them drop, so they start overplaying him a little bit more because you can't let him get that all game if he gets in rhythm, right. And then he has the entire rim. And then guys, Jimmy does a great job whenever they do play up on Bam to get in that dunker spot. Guys, great cut, and Bam is a great passer, so he can recognize that and get them open. So as long as he stays aggressive, even if he's missing shots, as long as he stays aggressive, I don't think we're going to see stinker games from him like that because he was also great on the glass tonight.
He was. It's a good thing they put Grant Williams in. It's felt like for years now, Grant's gotten the better of him. How happy were you on a scale from 1 to 10 he got DMP?
To be honest, Grant does well down there against bigs that are stronger than him, but he has a nice core and he has a stronger lower body, so he definitely can at least not get back down as much. But the thing with him is whenever he does get switched out onto guys, especially like Jimmy, he doesn't have the feet to keep up with them. If he gets switched on to Kyle or Gabe, he doesn't have the feet to keep up with those guys. So I think that's part of the reason why he didn't get he got a DMP this time. Also, the man just has some like lapses when it comes to his IQ, and you can't have that against a Heat team, especially with Jimmy out there lurking in the passing lanes.
Instead, they'll just punish Payton Pritchard in his 12 minutes.
Jimmy Lilly, as soon as the Payton Pritchard came, he's like, whoever has him, come set the screen right now.
It's like they subbed me into the game at 5'10". It's like, oh, here they come.
Isn't he like 5'10"?
I think he's 5'11". Now, what do you think exactly of? I feel like all year long, Gabe Vincent's been very, very clutch for this team. He's been very inefficient. Do you think he can maintain that tough shot making in the 3 of 6 from 3-point range in this series, or do you think he'll wax and wane, kind of like we're talking about before? With Lowry last year, a great example of that. Do you think he'll be able to knock down shots reliably?
One thing here, Michael, Jason Tatum's IQ was horrible today. He had 30 points today, but when he counted down the stretch, those 2 travel calls, he threw a couple back. He was the one that threw that pass straight to Jimmy at the end. Like, yes, down the stretch, he definitely choked up this game. But onto Gabe. The thing with Gabe is that he's always been that type of streaky guy. He's always gonna pull him, but it just depends on if he's gonna make him that night or not. But he's always gonna stay aggressive. But his real value is defensively. When you put him on guys like Michael Smart, when you put him on a guy like Jaylen Brown, even though Jaylen Brown is taller than him, can shoot over him, he does a great job at least staying down. At least you're not gonna live off them shooting mid-rangers over Gabe all damn night. You're gonna have to be able to do something. He does either he's drawing the charge or he's at least playing good defense. So his value is on the defensive end, and he can beat his guy off the dribble. He's one of the guys that can beat his guy off the dribble consistently. So his value is there, and I think him just being able to hit threes at 30 tonight, I think he hit 3 of them, right?
Yeah, 3 or 5.
Yeah, getting 3 or 5 from him is just a bonus on what else he brings. Normally, I expect like a 2 for 6 from him from downtown, or a 2 for 6 or a 2 for 7 from him, and I'm okay with that because he brings a lot more to the game. Now, obviously, if we lose next game by like 30 and everything good we saw in this game disappears, obviously I'm gonna have a different tune. I'm not gonna have a different tune. I'm not gonna be that reactionary, but I'm gonna understand that we can't have that like difference in effort up and down. Now, I do expect Boston to probably play out on that 3-point line a lot more, or maybe they play the percentages and they give us that. Maybe we have a down game. Who knows at Missoula? But one thing I do know is that if this Heat team continues right now, the Knicks series was the outlier shooting from the last 3 months. The last 3 months, that was the only outlier. We were shooting about 36, 37% for over this 3-month span, which with the Bucks series and so far this one. The Knicks series was us shooting 31%, was definitely outlier. So I wouldn't take that chance of this being an outlier game. I don't know about 51%. But this Heat team shooting 40% from 3 is going to be dangerous for this Celtics team if they don't handle that. And I think hopefully we do have another good shooting game, because if we have 2 good straight shooting games, game 3 in Miami, you can bet they're going to start overplaying on that 3-point line, and that's food for Bam and Jimmy in the paint.
I feel good. I mean, I had the Heat winning 6 games, and watching a game like tonight, I kind of was validated. Eric Spoelstra, man, he's showing Joe Mazzulla how to maintain a run by calling the timeout at the right time and not basically wasting it, not using until the 4th quarter.
Did either coach use their challenge? Did either coach use the challenge today? I don't think so, right?
It's a great question. I don't believe so off the top of my head, but I've always been skeptical of Jason Tatum, and even after dropping 51 points in a game 7, I'm still even more skeptical. After what we saw last 2 rounds, I haven't been super impressed by Boston this year from a consistency element, and offensively, like I think they're talking about in the broadcast, and it's a great point. Their cold stretches are exacerbated by that lack of accountability. I think that's what Ime Udoka really brought last year when things weren't going well. It's the same thing that they struggle with Brad Stevens and with Joe Mazzulla. I think he's more hands-off letting the players play. But for this type of group, where when it's cold, it's cold. When it's raining, it's pouring. I feel like letting them play freely and not being on top of them the way Ime was, that actually is to their own detriment. So that's one of my biggest concerns, and it was one of the red flags coming into this series for me.
I completely agree with that. I even said when we did that stream after that 51 is the fact that he's not going to get those type of looks against Miami, and it just felt easy for him. You were getting switches on Embiid that can't stay in front of you. You're getting open threes. You're getting downhill very, very easily on him. Now, of course, they were getting downhill in the first half pretty easily, but in that second half, You have a coach that's not Doc Rivers, that's going to make those adjustments, that's going to close off the paint. You're going to have to start making jump shots. And again, if it's not a three-pointer, Jason Tatum is booty cheeks from everywhere else if it's not the paint or from the three. The man's not a great mid-range shooter. So he's definitely going to have to be not only at the top of his game, but those mental lapses that he always has down the stretch of games sometimes with some of the poor passing and the poor playmaking is the part of his game that people have been harping on for the past 3-4 years. And it looks like sometimes it looks like it's getting better, and sometimes it looks like it right back to what you saw early in his career.
That's a pretty valid point.
I put the link in the stream. If anybody wants to join in just to talk, you can. But
get me out of here.
I want to get back to Jimmy. In a sense, not only defensively this game, but one thing in the first half is that he wasn't getting certain foul calls in the first half. The first half for me, I even put it on my community page and I put it on Twitter. The whistle is pissing me off. There was that clear charge call on Bam that they did not give him. There's a couple of hits that I think Jimmy did take that they didn't give him. The second half, of course, the whistle got a lot more fair. But one thing about him is that early the mid-range jumper for Jimmy got active really, really fast in that first half. And I think this series, we can't have that bullshit where he's coasting in the first quarter or not. We need him to be aggressive. If Boston doesn't come out aggressive, if Boston doesn't go on a big run in the first half, him coming out aggressive gives us a nice cushion going into the second half. So if we do make a mistake, it's good. And him being aggressive while Boston is also on a heater keeps us in these games so that in second half, when they do cool down, we have a shot at winning it. We can't have that bullshit where he's, trying to get others involved too much and not actually pushing it to the paint, either drawing foul calls or getting to the rim and making something happen. What else? Kyle. Ever since he's been healthy, the man has been absolutely amazing. And I'm not going to lie, I'm taking back a lot of I have a Heat video on here where I said we have a lot of issues with Kyle, talking about what we can do to make this team better in the offseason, because I thought the season was done. But ever since he got healthy, he has been absolutely amazing for this team, man.
Is he worth $25 million?
Honestly, right now, yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. Right now, I'm perfectly fine with it.
His skill set's everything they've always needed. He brings all of the checks all of the boxes, but it's coming off the bench, giving them that element that they lacked last year, where he only gave it to them in what? It was game 5 when Jimmy had that.
Give it to us
other than that, he was a no-show last year.
Oh yeah, in the playoffs, the entire first half of the season, he was like this, and then he got injured, and then for the next, basically, you can say year, because from that point, from the second half of that season to the second half of this season to like the All-Star break of this season, he was not great. But one thing, maybe this is looking too far in the future, but one thing that's always been a problem is him and Tyler has not been able to coexist sometime. And I think when you bring Tyler back in, do you bring him off the bench with Kyle, or do you put him back in the starting lineup? If you put him back in the starting lineup, that's another non-defender coming off the bench with Kyle, especially undersized. I don't know what you want to do when Tyler does come back. I don't think you want to inject him in a starting lineup like that, because the synergy in the starting lineup has been so great. And I do think Jimmy and Bam with the ball in their hands in the playoffs now is what the Heat need as much as possible. And that's no slight to Tyler, but I think those guys just kind of make it happen a lot faster. Even with Jimmy's methodical pace he plays sometimes, those guys make it happen a lot faster than Tyler. But one thing we're missing with Tyler is that you can tell a couple possessions in that first half and even in that fourth quarter where we're getting too late in the shot clock and we couldn't get anything. We couldn't get any good shots. Tyler is one of those guys that he's a 3-level scorer, whether it's mid-range, at the rim, or 3-point line. At any point, he can get a shot that he can make. It may not be a good one for most people, but he can make those, and we really miss those in those possessions because he used to bail us out a lot on some bad possessions. Of course, there's the defensive side of the ball where it may not be too great, but at the end of the day, this game showed what we definitely missed, but we overcompensated with the 3, and Jimmy just had a really good defensive half.
That sounds just about right. Before I dip, are the Heat taking this? 6 games, 7 games? Are you still 6. A little bit lukewarm? You don't want to jump all into the hot take train that it is right now, saying the Heat are going to.
It's not even a hot take train.
You're jumping all on right now. Come on the train. I'm sipping the Spoelstra Kool-Aid. I have been for weeks.
No, he's been. I've had Heat in 6. My name is Heat in 6 on Twitter. By the way, people follow me on Twitter, please. FLB_YT. Um, but um, I've always been Heat in 6 again because Boston, nothing they've done this playoffs moves me. Especially later in the regular season, I could smell blood in the water. When we had the 7th seed, I'm like, Boston had the 7th seed, either Philly or them. I don't care which. I want them. And obviously, we got Milwaukee, which is probably the worst, which probably is the one I didn't want. But guess what? It's the best thing for us because I think that series warmed us up, and the next series put us in the trenches to get back to what we normally do, to the type of basketball that we normally play. So now the 3-point shot is going. Everybody's confident, and we've been in the trenches for 6 games. This team is oiled up and ready to go. Again, Boston down the stretch of close games, they have not executed well at all because their stars, whenever the going gets tough, they make stupid mistakes. And Miami does not have those issues down the stretch. We've been in this down the stretch in games all season freaking long. I think actually now we broke the record, or at least we're one. I think the 74 Pistons have the record with that many clutch games, or not 70. Did I say 70? One of those
The
Pistons
74 Pistons are totally ass, I'd have to imagine.
No, one of those Pistons teams have the record for many clutch games with regular season and playoffs. I think with 57. And I think tonight was either our 57th or our 56th tonight.
Yeah, I mean, this year you guys have the second best clutch defense behind only the gauntlet of the Philadelphia 76ers on defense. So you're always a top defense on that side of the ball in clutch.
Along with injuries this season, the problem with this team in the regular season was that we always played down to our competition. It's not even clutch. We were in clutch game with the Boston Celtics because down the stretch we were just whooping their ass. We were also in clutch games with the freaking Detroit Pistons, with the Houston Rockets at times, with the OKC Thunder. We were in clutch situations with those type of teams, and but those reps and those clutch games, even when guys are out, gave these guys a lot of confidence. We know how to execute down the stretch when we don't, when we really, and other teams have not been in those positions. Boston this season only played, I think, 25 clutch games. That's including the playoffs, and they're 13-12 in those clutch games. Obviously, that's a positive record, but when you get in the playoff with a team this with this much experience down the stretch of these games and how to pull them out, they don't get tight, they don't make stupid mistakes, and they know how to camp in the passing lane. It wreaks disaster for them. They haven't been the same team they were last year. And while the Heat are hobbled, one thing that happened last year is that outside of Jimmy and Bam, I think Bam shot 57% and Jimmy shot 54% against them. Tyler didn't play well against them. Kyle didn't play well against them. Vic shot 30% against them. Gabe shot like 29. Max
Everybody
didn't shoot
in your
well.
team did outside your two stars.
I don't know how we pushed that series to 7. Nobody shot well for us in that series. This year, I don't see that happening. This playoffs, we have been consistent with our shooting. Last year, even against the Hawks and even against Philly, our shooting wasn't consistent for some reason. This year, it's been consistent in the playoffs. And while last year these guys have more experience, and I trust guys like Kevin Love, I trust guys like a healthy Kyle Lowry to be able to deliver on a consistent basis for this
Cody
team.
Zeller.
If I see more minutes of him, I'm going to punch a wall.
Would you rather Cody Zeller or Dwayne Dedmon? That's an easy one.
That's like asking you don't want me to get stabbed or shot, bro. Like it's you know what? Give me Cody Zeller. Give me the Cody Zeller because those Dedmon threes were pissing me off.
I mean, Zeller's got some pretty good chemistry too with the guards already. He's only been here for like two and a half months.
He sets pretty good screens. And he's a nice enough big enough body that when he does box, I can get rebounds. The problem is he was also getting beat on the glass because the Celtics have superior big men. He doesn't have the feet on defense to guard those guys, and he was either not rolling hard enough or rolling too late. So some of the passes he was getting were leading to turnovers. That's another thing. We lost the turnover battle bad this game, I think, and we still pulled this one out. We clean up a lot of those bad turnovers next game, and at least able to shoot 40% from 3. If Boston even goes on a run, as long as we keep the next game close, even if we lose it, as long as we lose it by 7 or less or 8 or less, I will feel good going to Miami with us knowing that we're able to keep a consistent pace with these guys, even when they do have a really good night. Because Jason Tatum, the problem is with Jason Tatum tonight is that he had a good shooting night. He had it, even though, and normally on his bad night, he shoots pretty bad and then he goes pretty good in the next game. So I don't know what you're going to get from him next game because he's still had a pretty good shooting night tonight.
Right. He was getting to the foul line or something, didn't miss a free throw. Look, I don't think the mindset's that. I think the mindset's you're going to win game 2 in Boston. Just end this series right then and there. Maybe I'm
Oh,
a sicko for saying that, but I think the
I'm a
ambition
sicko.
here is
I
to
want it.
build off this game, and I think the Celtics have been frauds. Last year, I was all on them. This year, I've taken a step back. I think they can win game 2, even if they don't shoot 50% from deep. They're just going to have to be a little more clean in the first half. And like you were saying before, man, if they come out the gate strong, Jimmy was sharp from the mid-range. He was killing it early on, but they're still losing. It's a matter of everybody else getting going. So if I'm the right mix,
One,
both the shooters and Jimmy getting hot in the first or second quarter, I mean, you could really have a real opportunity of winning both these games on the road.
yeah. Another thing with the Celtics is that those elite guards off the bench, it, it genuinely pisses me off sometimes because those guys would be starting for anybody else. Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White generally get under my skin for how good they are sometimes. Like genuinely, like sometimes it feels like we are pulling away, and one of the again we were up by 9. We were up by 9. We needed other miss another shot, come because we made a 3 after that. Push it back, but Derek White comes down, hits a 3, gets it back down to 6. Timeout. Now they're back in the game. Those guys are just very timely with how well they play sometimes, and I don't even want to say that consistently you're not going to get a performance like this from those guys because those guys are consistent. There's a reason why the Celtics didn't get to go 7 with the Hawks because Derek White showed up. So another thing, these two teams, well, the core at least, Tyler Hero, Jimmy, Bam, Duncan, and Gabe versus
Max.
Jason Tatum, Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams, Al Horford. This is the third time in 4 years they met each other. You're not going to see anything new that you have not seen already, outside of maybe a coaching difference. But I think that Boston's had a different coach, all 3 different. Brad Stevens, Ime Udoka, and now Joe Mazzulla. While we've been consistent with our coaching, but you're not going to see anything different from that you haven't seen in the past 3 years from these two teams know each other way too well, which is why people already think this was going to go be a 6 to 7 game series, even with it when they think Miami is a little less talented than these guys. But now in a series like this, especially when the Miami Heat are playing like this and the Boston Celtics are a little underwhelming, honestly, while if they get their head other else, it could push it to 7. But don't be surprised if this is over in 6. Don't be surprised if it's over in 6. Hell, dare they say 5? Dare they say 5?
It wouldn't be the craziest thing to happen this year. It's happened before.
That would mean we have to. That would mean we have to win another one in Boston.
I mean, yeah, I had
Actually,
these
unless we
Heat getting
take,
knocked out. I had
we-
the Heat losing 5 to the Bucks, and then they beat him in 5 games. Like, oh, okay, yeah, they kind of beat Giannis in all 3 games he played. So look, it sounds crazy, but we've seen series where one team may win 5 games or 6, but it's a way tighter 5-game series than you think.
Yeah, one thing about Celtics is that they're 500 at home against the Hawks. Didn't they win the first 2 games in that series?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, against the Hawks in the first round, they play with their foot a little. Damn, 28 people in here, Jesus.
Shout out to the Heat fans in here. Drop a like on the stream and subscribe to FLB if you haven't already.
Like up the stream, subscribe. We're gonna be doing this after every single game, even if we lose. We're gonna do this every single game. Most likely, you're gonna get either a Lakers Nuggets video or a Heat Celtics video for the rest of the season until the finals. We're definitely getting this. I'm definitely probably posting every single day. But at the end of the day, for both of these teams, what was the question? Oh yeah, Michael. The Celtics are 500 at home. That's the thing. They don't consistently bring that effort at home. They don't. Round 2 against Philadelphia, again, that game 1, they played with their food. They were playing well offensively, but guess what? That defense sucked. That kept Philadelphia in the game without Embiid, and Harden obviously had a masterclass of a game. So I understand the Celtics don't feel too bad about losing game 1. The thing is, Jimmy ain't Harden. You're gonna get consistent. I wouldn't be surprised if you average 30 this series. You're gonna get consistent performances like this. Bam is not Joel Embiid. You're not gonna be able to take him. He's not gonna constantly take mid-range jumpers. You're not gonna be able to hunt him in the pick and roll.
Not at all.
So it's generally going to be a very, very, very very different series than Philadelphia in this series. Also, the Heat role players show up a little bit more consistently than the 76ers role players. So you're not gonna like a game 7 where nobody was hitting shots. Miami may have spells like that, but they're gonna also go on a run where they're gonna be 13-0 because for some reason the 3-point shooting they showed up for 1 quarter and now the game is tight. And that's the thing. You only need the 3-point shooting to show up maybe for a half of the game. Sometimes you can count on Jimmy and Bam to be able to keep you at least in it, but you just need to either show for a half or for a quarter. Hopefully, and normally you hope for it in the second half. We got in that 3rd quarter, we were able to keep the game, and Jimmy was able to close it out for us. So at the end of the day, this game one is, I think, was going to be the barometer for this series. I think that we definitely need to win this one to really give us some confidence, even though this team is confident as ever, but really just put a stamp on this series and at least force the Celtics' hands. I don't think you're going to see Robert Williams starting next game because obviously the first half it was working great, but that second half they played him off the floor. He wasn't getting the same offensive rebounds, and he couldn't guard in space against anybody. They were hunting him in switches. So I do think you see Derek White in there. And if that's the case, and you have Robert Williams coming off the bench, then there's that problem with Cody Zeller because you're going to have to match up size-wise. But another thing, Bam needs to be playing 40 minutes. Bam needs to be playing 40 minutes. I think Jimmy played the entire second half this game. But
Jimmy finished with 43. Bam had 37 by
Bam needs to be playing 40 minutes. Cody maybe could survive with 4 minutes with him on the floor, but Bam needs to be playing 30 minutes, 40 minutes a game. We were a plus. We were a plus 18 with him on the floor tonight.
Yeah, highest in the team.
Exactly. Again, we've been telling people this all freaking year. This team goes as far as Bam's defense being able to take them sometimes. Even when he isn't scoring consistently, what he brings on the defensive end and sometimes offensively as a passer and a connector is absolutely imperative in this team scheme sometimes. So it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter sometimes if he's even shooting bad. Genuinely, him and Jimmy are the life force for this team sometimes. Even when Jimmy's having a bad game, the defense that Bam's able to play. When Jimmy's having bad games sometimes, I think you see Bam turn it up a little bit defensively, trying to at least force some turnovers, at least, make guys second guess things, get in the passing lanes a little bit more disrupted so the East can get some easy bucks in the fast break. He knows how to pick his spots sometimes when they be more aggressive defensively, versus sometimes when you need to play off it a little bit. And again, you're not going to get those. You can't run pick and roll with him all the damn time because you're going to constantly get switches. So I really wish we had a more athletic big coming off the bench,
like Udonis Haslem, peak versions.
Didn't UD? There wasn't there like 2 possessions UD guarded Jason Tatum in the regular season, and it was just.
I don't want to think about that. You have Omer off the bench. I doubt they go to him. He missed like so many games this year. One more thing before I dip. I know I said this like 15 minutes ago. Bam is so important to this team because look, it's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows as pretty as it was today. Last year's series was so ugly offensively, but with Bam on the floor, you can win uglier more frequently than the Celtics. I just think there's more limitations with Al. He's reliant on the 3-point shooting. When the shots aren't falling, he's really not that impactful. And the same goes for Robert Williams. If he's getting just killed on switches, which we saw, like you said. So I think Bam's best asset in this series is when it's a 95-94 game, last 5 minutes, he's going to make the biggest impact. Maybe of any player not named Jimmy Butler, because I think he will be the best player in the series moving forward. He was last year with 2 stinkers. I think he was dealing with a little. Wasn't he a little bit banged up last year, like everybody else?
I think he missed. I think he either missed a whole game, or he just missed the second half of the game. One of the two.
Right.
But yeah, he was a little bit banged. I was surprised when he came out and just gave them 47, like he wasn't hurt at all. But what I will say though with Bam is the fact that in that Knicks, he's been dealing with the shoulder and the hamstring all playoffs long. But in the Knicks series, what you learn, especially putting some of that Mitchell Robinson, is that yes, Mitchell Robinson is a great offensive rebounder. Yes, Robert Williams is a great offensive rebounder. But those bigs, they cannot guard him in space. And once that mid-range jumper clicked for him this year, there's really nothing those bigger guys can do for him. And the moment you put somebody like Al Horford on him, he's beating him off the dribble every single time. Al hit a 3 or 2. I think he hit only 1 3 tonight, I think. He was 1 for 5 tonight. He didn't shoot well from 3. But he hit that one when the Celtics run in the first half. And he was pretty good in the passing lane. He had a couple of great plays down the stretch in the first half. But when that second half game, they completely killed him out this game. And he became a non-factor. I don't think you're gonna. Again, he shot 47% this season from 3. I don't think you get another 1 for 5 performance from him in the next maybe 2 games. Maybe you get another stinker from him, but I don't think you see him shoot that bad again. But so I don't think his value is nixed if he's not shooting. But the problem is genuinely once Bam does come off the floor and he's the one there, he would kill Cody Zeller. That's the thing, and that's where his value is.
Mhm.
Is when they do go small, and he's playing against a backup big. He always does a good job of taking advantage of that matchup. But he's not gonna win that Bam one this series if they consistently play like this. He's just not. He's too old and his feet's just not quick enough to keep up with him.
He's not too old for Joel Embiid.
Yeah, because Joel Embiid can't beat anybody up. Be real. Yes, Joel is hobbled, but again, that's the problem with him. He's always freaking hobbled. And he was settling with Joel, unlike Bam, Joel loves that. He loves working at. He doesn't like working on the low block. He loves working on. Loves working at the nail, and he loves working on both high in the mid range. He does not like working down low on the block. Bam
Right.
does not care. He will get down in the in between area, and he will get mucked up down low, and he will force you to either foul him, which he was getting consistently at free throw line. He missed 3 tonight, which I don't think he'll again see because he's been a really good free throw shooter.
Yeah, and hot take, I think Bam might have better touch than Joel, but Bam's touch has not always been the most consistent, as we've seen.
Yes, sometimes he looks like he's Jokic out there with touching. Other times he look like he's freaking, I don't know, Emeka
Not
Okafor.
Jokic.
His touch definitely does need that's
Sabonis.
his touch. His touch
He's
was
got
great. His touch this game was definitely good. He did a couple of those floaters, and definitely got a nice couple of those layups, and that's going to be imperative going forward if he can keep that touch and make those. But he also missed a couple of chippy ones, too. Again, we need to clean up the defense in the first half. Don't let them get on that type of run. Hopefully, still play out on the 3-point line like we were. At least run them off the 3-point line. The ones they do get are
Exactly.
contested,
Into Bam.
and just play the percentages and play hard. Again, offensively we can't count on another 120. I don't know if we can consistently count on 123 from us. We haven't always been the offensive team, but as long as we play pretty hard defense and this shooting stays around 40%, I think you can kind of good 113 consistently. And if we're able to keep Boston, if we're able to at least have a better first half and consistently play that second half type of defense, maybe not even get like 6 or 7 steals like we did, but just consistently play good defense throughout the entire game, we have a very good chance in every single game of the series.
We'll see. I'm gonna head out, bro. Thank you for letting me on. And
No
Heat and
problem,
6.
man.
I've got the
Any other
poster in
time.
the background, man, back from the days of 2010. So it's been a while, and I have to. If I come back into one of your streams, I'm gonna have it front and center behind me, all right?
I have the big 3 up there, but if this keeps going, I need a Jimmy one right here. I need a Jimmy one right here. No, I need a Jimmy one over
Kyle
here and
Lowry
a
in the
Bam one
middle.
right here. Shit, we win a championship that year. I'll take down Chris Bosh and put Kyle up there.
Heat
honestly,
legend. Second best point guard in franchise history.
Honestly, if we win this year,
Third.
I'm taking out all 3 of these guys and I'm putting up a 2023 Heat poster behind me because they deserve it. And if we win this year, you guys are getting not only a timeline Heat video for this season, you're getting a timeline Heat video from 2014 to now. You're gonna a Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and you're gonna get a lot of Heat content if we win the championship. My channel is gonna be sick of it by the end of this.
So that's where Nikola Jokic comes in. So we'll see about that.
Hey man, that is the one guy I can't say Bam gives trouble to. He's the only guy I've seen being able to give him fits every single time. Genuinely. And unlike the Lakers, we don't have big enough bodies that we can shut him to make Bam a roamer to make it hard on him. So that's going to be a consistent problem. We can't put Kevin Love on him. That's going to be food. Yeah. Honestly, I like our chances against anybody. I really do. I like our chances against anybody anymore with the way we've been playing. But get out of here. You've been saying you're going to be getting out of here for the last 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
Nice to have
you.
I'm
going to disappear like the Celtics in the second half. Prince, peace. Have a good one. And subscribe to FLB if you haven't already, fellas.
Like up the stream. Again, I'm going to put the link. I'm gonna put the link in chat if anybody wants to come up and say what they want to about this. The link is right there. I will pull you in. But hope Bam can keep this up offensively. I think he can. I think he can definitely keep this up. The Celtics don't really have the big man. Robert Williams can't guard anybody one-on-one, and Al Horford doesn't have the foot speed to guard Bam consistently. So as long as he's aggressive, I think he can get the shots that he wants. It's just sometimes whether that mid-range jumper is dropping or not. That's going to be the difference maker, because if the mid-range jumper is dropping or not, and Robert Williams has to step out a lot more, Al Horford has to step out a lot more, he's beating him off the dribble every single time, and they're either fouling him or he's getting a layup. So Another thing is that the Celtics were really playing that dump off pass that we always get with Bam in the pick and roll. So I definitely think a lot of Bam's looks in pick and roll is gonna have to come off dribble handoffs and not live dribble pick and rolls. But I'll look back on a couple possessions of this game, and tomorrow's video will be a little bit more in depth on what we saw tonight. Oh, Mike, what's up? Oh shit, you have a camera on. What's up?
Hello. There we go.
What's up?
Hold on, I got it to
All
YouTube.
right,
What's up, man?
yes,
Got my
sir. What did
repping
you
my Justice Winslow poster right now.
to think whenever we were making that Jimmy trade, my head was like, Justice is untouchable. Justice is untouchable. Don't let it be Josh. Let it be Josh Ridge.
Again,
Jay
it's
Rich.
yeah, I know. But for me, because this is a philosophy I have as far as playoff basketball is concerned, and that is winning, not only winning it, but being able to get to the free throw line at the right times, right? And that is
Exactly.
important to winning these games. And for me, that's why, I've always thought Jimmy Butler would, even if he's having an off game, is so valuable as a player to any team in the playoffs, is because he could consistently get to the line. And, the fouls is what, that takes players out of rhythm. And I had mentioned it earlier with, Spoelstra and Jimmy, where it's a combination of Jimmy slowing the pace down and being able to get to the line. And then when the Celtics go on a run, Spoelstra, timeout, we got to change the here. And and then obviously
He's
makes his
he knows how
adjustments.
he knows how to stop the bleeding, and our guys are timely shot makers sometimes whenever the bleeding does get bad. Again, the game was looking like slipping away. Kevin Love, 3 right there, put us right back in it. Um, what I love this game, and Dreamer said it right here. Hopefully, you see Highsmith here.
Mhm.
He needs to get those Cody Zeller minutes. Again, I said it with John here. Once Robert Williams goes to the bench and Al Horford is in, Haywood Highsmith need to be in that game. He can switch on to Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown at any point and give them trouble. He's done it pretty well in every single match he's played against them. And he has a strong enough core that Al Horford is gonna have to force to make layups or floaters over him and not really be able to back him down all the way to
But
the
then
rim.
Al Horford likes to stick around the 3-point line anyways. He wants to give his guards room.
Exactly.
So
I think I've seen him roll. They run a couple pick and rolls him, and I think I saw him roll maybe twice this game.
I mean, yeah, it was once on Struce. He got a layup off on Struce, and that was pretty much the one I remember. Like, because he really didn't do much for me. Again, he's a player I've always thought was, just really good, impactful player. It's Robert Williams. You know, he's a really annoying player to deal with a lot of the time because he's just so good at what he does. Great dunker spot guy, can grab rebounds, good shot blocker, you know. And what I liked about us playing Milwaukee, unlike last year, is that Bam already got the Brook Lopez treatment. You know what I mean? He had to deal with Brook Lopez already.
That
And
that that's his biggest that's his biggest op in the playoffs. Brook Lopez, while he doesn't have the feet, his sheer size alone allows him to be able to close out on the mid-range jumpers and still be able to get to the rim and contest shots too. The Celtics, Robert Williams, while he's a great rim protector and he has size, he's only 6'9". If he's got to pick one, either he's gonna let Bam get to the rim and foul him, or he's gonna let him take that mid-range jumper. And if that mid-range jumper is dropping, he's just food for everybody else.
that's the thing though, where just to carry on, Bam in that room that game against the Bucks, he I forget which game it was, but he was so hesitant. He was getting stuck a lot, and that was happening in that. I forget which game it was. I believe it was game 4. I'm not entirely sure. Either game 2 or 4. I don't remember. But I remember there was a game that ever since that game happened, he goes up aggressive. So if he's not, he doesn't wait and try to pump fake like 4 times. He needs to go up right away because that's how I mean you pretty much hear this all the time. You go against a shot blocker, you don't let him get position on you. You try to take advantage, and that's where you get to the foul line. You get, and with Bam, he has the edge as far as speed is concerned. So I even mentioned it with the Knicks
I
series
think he
where
may
I
be
thought,
even a little bit. I think maybe even a little stronger than Robert Williams, to be honest.
yeah, I think so as well. I mean, for Robert, it's just that he gets up quick. He's
Oh,
very
he has very quick. He a very quick bounce, and that man can jump high as hell.
yeah, that Cody Zeller
Yeah,
block was insane.
yeah. The one thing I love about Kyle Lowry too is that he can slow the game down too. When it seems like our offense lost its steam, he gets us important. But those two straight threes that he hit in that first half and the 13
Oh
points he
yeah,
gave us in the second quarter, even after that gave us at least enough of a cushion that when Boston went on the run, we weren't deep in a hole in the second half. Again, his shooting is going to be imperative in the series. If he can keep up shooting consistently, at least around 36 to 40% from three, hell, 44% from three, some 45% from three, we have a very good chance because as long as we're getting consistent production off the bench. Caleb, this game, he hit three threes. He was 3 for 7, and he was shooting. He's one of the more consistent guys from three this season at
yeah,
37%. So 3 for 8, 3 for 7, you can get that consistency from him. And what I loved is the fact that um he's been looking great on whenever teams do close out on him because he's normally on the receiving
yeah.
end of
He's
a
great on the drive.
he's normally on the receiving end of a Kyle or a Jimmy drive. For some reason, it feels like the ball always goes to him. That's because they sell out on Max and Gabe sometimes. Because once Gabe or Max get hot, it's really hard to slow him down. While Caleb
Hmm.
doesn't really get hot from three like that, but he's been great at recognizing closeouts, being able to get to the rim and actually make something happen. Either get somebody else open and have a free layup. Obviously, on the defensive end tonight in the first half, he was pissing me off because he's part of the reason why the Celtics are getting to the rim as easily as they did.
Yeah,
And and in the
but
second
then
half,
again, you can't really it's hard, especially with his size. He's not necessarily the best guy to have defending on those
no,
drives. Like a
the thing
Highsmith would
is
be
not
better because he contests very well on those.
the thing is that it's not even that. It's the fact that they were getting past him as easy. It's different if he was riding their hip and they just made a tough layup or they made a layup over him. The fact is they were getting right past him. That's the problem. Him, Gabe, and Max were not playing. We're not
Yeah,
walling up and not. We're part of the reason why the Celtics had 30 points in the paint in the first half. That's part of the reason why. Now,
it was
of course,
ridiculous. Yeah,
now, of course, again, as long as you're able to at least keep the defensive intensity to what we did in the second half, um, I really don't care. Boston shot 36% from three. They're a team that normally shoots around 37 to 40% from three. And whenever it is hitting, they are one of the toughest teams to stop. They normally hit if they're hot, you're looking at a 55, 60%
yeah.
night for them from three. But if you're able,
I'll
but
say
one
this
thing we
though,
did was we
a
ran
lot
them
on
off
the
the
three
3-point
point
line.
line.
We ran them off the 3-point line.
Yeah, I know they had mentioned it in the post game as well. And that's what you live with it. It's like, oh, you don't, we can't let them get going from three because the thing is, as you had mentioned before earlier on stream, they're prone to mistakes, and this is something a lot of people have noticed. They make a lot of mistakes on those drives, man. How many turnovers did you see them do? Like really costly turnovers at the end of the game. It was really bad for the Celtics, man. Like they had
Dreamer, another amazing one. We had a couple of shot clock violations that got me heated for. Yes, the
yeah,
offense. That's where we miss Tyler. Tyler is our only 3-level scorer, and he can at least in those positions he can get. May not be a great shot, but he always can get a shot that he can make. That's the prop. And in the pick and roll, I think honestly, even with the way Jimmy's playing right now, Jimmy's been doing great one-on-one. He's our best. Tyler's our best guy in the pick and roll, especially getting the ball to Bam in the pick and roll. Um, in situations like that, he's always been the guy to bail us out in late clock situations. And of course, Kyle did a pretty good job this game, but Tyler is normally consistently the guy that's been able to get us into action at least semi quickly whenever we're at like a 8-5,
but he's a
6
scorer.
seconds.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
what he
So
does.
we
Yeah,
obviously, if Tyler does come back at any point, because I think it's a 46-week recovery time, so he can come back at any point, whether it's down or the NBA
I
Finals,
mean, yeah.
whatever. But right now
I
with
mean,
him
right
is
now he can't shoot or dribble. I think I heard a report on that. He can't shoot or dribble.
then we may not. You're not seeing him until the finals then. But
Yeah, probably
the
not.
thing with but the thing is that when you inject him back in, is that the starting lineup has so much synergy right now. Do you keep him in the starting lineup? Do you put him and Kyle has never been really great playing on the court at the same time. So do you put him on the bench with Kyle? What do you do with that? That's up to Spo. I trust whatever decision he decides to make. I really wished he pulled Cody Zeller a little earlier. But hey, we won the game. No problem. Maybe if Highsmith comes in, this game looks completely different. And the Celtics go on a whole different run. I'm not the coach here, and I'm not the one that got this team that shouldn't be here to this spot right now with some of what he's done as a coach. So I'm not gonna complain about it, but I do want to see Highsmith get a couple more minutes in this series. But I feel like I've repeated a bunch of things.
I mean, yeah, for
Again,
me, yeah, Gabe.
15, 3 for 5
Yeah.
from three. Yes. Again, Gabe's biggest asset is the fact that he's a hounder on defense. He's always been streaky on the offensive end, and he's always been a gunner. He's gonna take shots that you somehow, why the hell are you taking it? Sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't. I'm okay with him getting a 2 for 6, 2 for 7 night from three, but his main thing is always being able to pick up guys full court,
Yep.
tire him out. If the Celtics are gonna count on shooting over him in mid range all the damn time, be my freaking guest. But in the second half, they were not getting the rim on him as consistently as they were. He was moving his feet, and they were either have to go through him or over him, but we're not going around him.
He's a pesky body. He's very much Kyle Lowry-esque as far as a younger Kyle Lowry defensively could really get in the way of a lot of dudes. And because one thing I want to add, because for me, I think people don't understand how tough that Knicks series was. Because for me, there was a lot
I
of.
will die on the hill that should have been over in 4. I will die on that hill.
But here's the thing, though. Jalen Brunson is a lot better than a lot of people give him credit for. Because the man
Hell yes.
is. Dude, because I think people were like, oh, Gabe Vincent isn't that good at defense. No, he's good at defense. It's just Jalen Brunson is ridiculous. He was making the toughest shots ever. Gabe Vincent was picking him up full court for most of those games, and he was still scoring. Like,
the man gets down low, you stop him, you wall him up, and he stops, pivot. Now he has a layup, and you're like, what the hell just happened? You had him stopped. Why did he get that shot?
And, it was a separate discussion I had with my father, but, like, I was saying, like, how much further off is Jalen Brunson scoring-wise from a guy like Luka Doncic? Because he does so much of that stuff where, looking in that series, he was scoring effortlessly at the rim, and when he needed to, he was hitting threes. Like, the dude is ridiculous as far as scoring was concerned. That is like whatever, but I was just saying scoring-wise.
Yeah, I understand.
And
what
with
you
that,
mean.
yeah, and with that Knicks series, another aspect was I had mentioned it earlier, but there's so much pressure on the Heat in that series, particularly because first of all, it's a rival, it's historically a big rival,
That
and
team is not our rival.
historically, I'm saying,
Franchise
like,
is not our freaking rival. I don't care.
I know, but
care.
it's all right. Okay, but still, the one aspect that was there was that we were fairly even teams as far as up to that point. That we had a lot of similarities. It was very like that was a series where if we had lost it, it felt like how we let that slip through our fingers. Like it was a series we should have won, and we did. But as far as like the Bucks and Celtics series where they're completely different is there's not really expectation. The Heat don't have expectation as far as from the media, from everyone. The only people that have expectations for the Heat are certain
Heat
Heat
themselves.
fans
The
and the
Heat
Heat.
themselves.
So for me, it's like there is no pressure. There's nothing they got to worry about because
There's pressure because I'm telling you
it's
right now,
not that type of game.
We beat the Celtics while playing this consistently, and we win a championship. I got some agendas to push. Oh my god! Look,
Yeah, but
I already packed up Joel Embiid. Let Jason Tatum keep playing like this.
yeah.
I'm packing him up too. Let us get to the NBA Finals, and oh my. The thing is, I like the Nuggets. There's no one to push an agenda against them. If it's the Lakers,
No, they're a great team. I love the Nuggets.
Yeah.
No, man. Listen, man. For me, it's the West is tough, bro. The teams coming out of the West is
the only
tough.
guy that I've seen ever been able to give Bam consistent trouble is Nikola Jokic. That's the only guy I've seen consistently just always give him trouble.
But then again, for me, I consider Jokic like legitimately up there as far. I mean, because this is hard to say.
He's the best. No, he's the best player in the league right now. I don't care what anybody says. He's the best.
No. I'm saying offensive center ever. Like as far as offense is concerned.
Right now, he's 2 behind Hakeem. 2.
Okay, yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. There's that conversation where the dude, because something interesting I had heard before, right, is that in this league you couldn't have a center as your best player to win a championship, and that was along the lines of a center relies too much on the other positions. It's kind of harder for them to get their own shot. It's harder for them to do a lot of
No,
things where
he's
they
the hub of that offense. He's the hub.
but that's the thing though, where Joker is just he really does do things that are just different. I love the Jimmy better. Yeah. Listen,
I'm
yeah,
look, there's a lot of arguments I'll take with Jimmy. The Jokic argument is not one I'm not gonna tackle. The man put up 31, 21, and
yeah.
14 last night. I don't know what the hell. like
Listen, yeah, I don't know, man. I'd have to see a series between them, and then you'd have to see. But right now,
even if we beat him, it's because Jamal Murray or Michael Porter Jr. didn't show up. It's
yeah, no,
not because
Joker,
Jokic.
yeah. But anyways, back to the Heat series, and yeah, the another one person just mentioned Gabe, Struce, Caleb combined for 45 points. When a
We
role
got
player
again.
play like
We
this,
got 30 off
yeah,
the bench. We got 30 bench points tonight, and the only two players on the bench that scored is Kyle Lowry and Caleb Martin. We got 15 from both of them. Again, Gabe is due for a couple of good games after shooting so poorly, but then again, he was so freaking tired having to guard Gabe Vincent. I sometimes didn't even get mad at him for missing some of them. And that game too, he's part of the reason why we almost pulled that one out. So I can't even get mad at him
yeah.
sometimes with the
No,
amount
game
of
two is
with the
Scott
amount of pressure.
Foster,
Yeah,
bro.
with the amount of pressure he has on him to perform on the defensive end consistently against, I can't even get mad at him when he does up and down offensive performances. But this series, he's one of those X factors. If we consistently get production in the starting lineup from him, while Kyle is able to come on and give us at least some of what at least give us 10 to 15, we have a good shot of beating anybody at any time.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, where I had mentioned it earlier as well, and the Knicks were relentless, bro. They were relentless on defense. Every shot was like contested, man. Like it was not good,
Those series are in the freaking mud. That series is in the mud.
dude. But that's the difference though between a team like the Knicks and a team like the Celtics.
Celtics aren't willing to muck it up like that. They're not willing to muck it
No,
up like that.
because here's the thing, and there was a play that you remember the Kevin Love transition three.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and another thing that was interesting, the TNT guys looked at the play, and Kenny was talking about there was a lack of effort. You saw Jaylen Brown, by the way, running up the court, looking down, and he just ran towards Jimmy, even though he could have had an easy, like he could have made Kevin Love pick up the ball. He could have made Kevin Love pick up the ball and then end the fast break right there. But a lot of players they're not paying attention. They play sloppy, and JJ Redick had mentioned it on one of his podcasts. That's what the Knicks. I mean, not the Knicks. The Celtics' biggest problem is just they just don't play the same way all the time. They get comfortable and then let that just control the rest of their game.
There's only one guy on that team that consistently plays his force, and that's Marcus Smart. The rest of them don't always play with that force night in, night out. You're not gonna get tonight. Jason Tatum had 30. Did not play with force tonight. On the offensive end, he did. He was attacking relentlessly, but on the defensive end, he was not playing with force. He was getting beat a lot.
Yeah.
I think I saw maybe one good defensive play from him, and that was like a dribble handoff for Jimmy. No, it was a pick and roll with Jimmy where he pulled up from mid range, but he had to arc it a little bit high because Jason Tatum had a really nice contest on it and he missed it. But I think that's the only really good defensive presence, and the block on Struce, the chase down block on Struce on that layup. But those are really the only two.
But then again, that was kind of a gimme, honestly.
Yeah, like those are the only two good defensive. Yeah, those are the only two good defensive plays I saw from him tonight. He wasn't playing with force on the defensive end, and tonight we did a really good job of keeping Jaylen Brown out of it. And I think he had injured his hand or his arm in Game 7 against Philly, and he had 6 turnovers tonight. Again, that dribble's never been a thing. That dribble's always been a problem for him. Whenever he plays teams with active hands, he's not able to hold up to that ball a lot. Jason Tatum also tonight wasn't able to hold on the ball a good amount either. So as long as I feel, you won't be able to keep those two out of the series completely, but as long as you put them in spots that are uncomfortable, you can count on making moves down the stretch that can get you a game.
And that's the difference between a team like the Heat and a team like the Sixers. The Heat are willing to put in that extra effort to make you make that mistake. Because on that, again, one of my favorite plays of this game was a closeout by Caleb Martin on Jason Tatum that forced him to, think on the shot and turn into a travel or up and I forget what it's called, up and down, whatever.
Another one. Jaylen Brown coming off the pick and roll, mid range. Gabe Vincent did a really good job, stayed in front of him a little bit, and he was trapped between the pass of the shot at sideways of the rim, fast break the other way. Again, force these guys to make decisions they're good enough, and there's a couple in the past couple years they've gotten a little bit better at it each year, but they're still prone to make those mistakes if you put them in enough positions where they can make mistakes. And tonight you put them in enough spots and down the stretch. Again, this team's not used to playing down the stretch, playing well down the stretch, because I think they're 0-3 in the playoffs, 0-4 now. And they're 13-12 all season long. Right now we're about to break the record for the most clutch games of all time in a full season, because I think the record is 57, and I think we either just hit 56 or we just hit 57. One of the two.
That's absurd.
We have enough. Yeah, we have enough experience, and we've won a majority of them. We have enough experience down the stretch of these close games to know how to be able to at least play with force on the defensive end and be able to execute on the offensive end. The Celtics definitely showed that they are not that team that if they don't have a 10-point lead, or at least a lead that they can sit on a little bit, that they will make mistakes going down the stretch.
By the way, I just want to shout out Dreamer real quick because that Pritchard comment is great.
I love it. The moment he came in the game, Jimmy's like, whoever's guarding him, come here and set the screen. I want him. Put him on me.
Dude, it was like the weirdest.
I don't know what Missoula was thinking.
Did they even use him?
He missed 2 threes, and I don't even know what Missoula was thinking putting him in this game. What are you thinking? I thought he was in a short.
All I remember,
yeah,
because all I remember was like Pritchard.
Only Derek and Brogdon.
Yeah, I forget what exactly he did that for. I just remember seeing him come in during a free throw thing. But like for me, Pritchard, I saw like 3 notable that's actually pretty good. Where he was playing like tough defense on like Kyle, I think. Like he was like, oh, he's really getting in there. But then besides that, I was like, I don't know. I didn't even notice.
He's too small. Pritchard. He's just too small.
He's just not that guy, bro.
Gabe is small, and Gabe is taller than him. Gabe is 6'1". Peyton Pritchard is like 5'10", 5'11". Like you can't consistently bring him. I think maybe he wanted a little bit different look on the offensive end because once Marcus Smart went out, the Celtics were kind of stagnant. We're a little bit stagnant, and they needed some. But I don't think he was the answer. I do think he's probably going to shorten up the lineup to who did they play? I think they only played 8 guys today, right? I think Brogdon, White, and Pritchard were the only guys that came off the bench for them, right? I don't think anybody else showed up.
Okay, I'm trying to think. I think so.
Yeah. So I think maybe he shortens it up to 7 and not even 7. Tonight we played 9 guys? No, 8. It was Caleb.
I'm gonna have to see the actual rotation.
Caleb, Kyle, Cody. I think we only. I think
we played Duncan as well.
Oh, Duncan got a couple minutes. No, he got hunted on the defensive end and missed 2 threes, and Spo was like, "Get your ass back on the bench." We played 9 guys. We played 9 guys today, but we have the luxury of that because of the role players. The thing about Love is that Duncan and Strus has alternated games where if one is not shooting well, the other one is, and then you may get that rare occurrence where both of them are shooting well. But consistently, we've just gotten production. We can count on at least 2 role players to give us consistent production any game. And I just don't think we're going to see defense like we did against the Knicks in this series. And I think we're going to be able to consistently get some open looks and consistently be able to produce on the offensive end. It just matters if we can keep that force on the defensive end. Grant Williams, I would love to see him in this series because he's another guy that makes a ton of mistakes whenever you do put pressure on him. And he's one of those guys that he does have the size and he has the core strength to be able to wall up guys like Bam, but he doesn't have the foot speed to do it. And whenever you switch, and if you set a pick and roll, you switch him on to Jimmy.
On the perimeter. It's possible.
Yeah, that's a part of the reason why I think Missoula is willing to go more Pritchard than him because he doesn't trust Grant to be able to consistently play, to consistently give you good minutes out there. And he played himself. He played himself in against Philly and against Atlanta. He played himself out of the lineup. He was horrible.
I want to add this because these are 2 important factors I want to take into account. One, the free throws by the Celtics. A lot of chances left at the line, especially by, historically pretty good free throw shooters. For me, Malcolm Brogdon shooting 60% was crazy. Missing those.
Bam missed 3 of them tonight. Again, on both sides. Tonight the free throw shooting wasn't consistent for either team.
But to be fair, though, we shot 79%. They shot 75%. And, even they got, 7 more points from the free throw line. I mean, again, they were getting a ton of calls.
That
I mean,
first, that first half whistle was pissing me off. That one charge
yeah,
of Bam with Jason Tatum that they didn't call made me want to throw the remote.
dude, Bam is one of the most disrespected players in the league when it comes to getting the whistle. Like he gets hacked every time
I'm not
down,
gonna lie.
man. What
I'm
do you
not gonna lie
think?
to you, Mike. Yes, on the defensive end he is, but I'll live with it because he gets away with a lot of moving screens.
Just let's not talk about that. Anyways, another thing that I loved about this Heat team today is that we won the rebound battle, and for me, that's always something that I feel like is very
I thought we were
important.
gonna lose it bad with that first quarter. I thought we were gonna lose it bad with that first quarter.
I know, it's because I love when the little guys start getting into it. You know what I mean? All the guards running to the ball, start running to the ball, charge at the ball. Like that's the most important thing because a lot of the problems we used to have in
Not
previous
even that.
years,
Even if
man.
you're out of Yeah, even that if you're
Yeah,
out of position, they're there at the top, jumping, tapping away from the big, so somebody else can running. They're at least making rebounds that were either going to be assured offensive rebounds for the Celtics, 50-50 balls, and we were able to pull out a
yeah,
lot of
pretty much.
those tonight.
And that's important, man, because in a lot of previous years, I remember how many games would you remember where Bam was the only guy even going to the ball? Like there was a lot of series back then, man, where it was really hard to get rebounds. They
The
were
catalyst,
scarce.
the catalyst of that is
Sorry?
Gabe Vincent and Kyle Lowry, two little guys that are
Yeah,
the catalyst for that is Gabe Vincent and Kyle Lowry, two little guys that are just consistently attacking the rebounds and boxing. I saw Kyle box out Robert Williams for Bam to get a rebound today. I'm just like, yep, these guys are locked in.
that
They're
was up.
locked in.
And that's why I love the addition of Kevin Love, where he also has that ability to just park in the paint and just grab those rebounds as well. He's a body that like Bam desperately needed in there, especially earlier in games where where everyone's more fresh. Where he's another body that can help you grab some rebounds, right? Where I forget Robert Williams a lot. He was getting a lot of offensive boards at the beginning of the game, but you know he
And
wasn't getting
some of
any.
those just but the ball just flew that the ball just
Yeah,
flew to him on some of those three. It's not even like he had to work hard for him. The ball just came to him.
because Kevin Love had six defensive rebounds in 16 minutes, which shows me like really good stuff. You know, that's the type of stuff you need out of your the player playing next to Bam. Where I always go to this player because this was the worst. One of the worst signings we've had. It was probably the worst year we've had as far as signings go. Was the year we signed Deadman and Trevor Ariza because that you know um
We were looking for anything. We needed anything, bro.
and I remember it. Trevor Ariza was just he couldn't rebound at all, and Deadman was like he was Deadman. What are you gonna get out of guy who chucks threes?
He was good
Um,
for the first half of the season that he played, but after that, boy, was he garbage.
yeah, like you needed help, and it showed because it showed in that Milwaukee series. The big difference between the series we lost and this series was, we had guys actually trying. You know what I mean? It's not these guys are actually playing hard. They're fighting for 50-50 balls. And again, it's like this is the important stuff in the playoffs. It's the little things that matter. Because for the most part, you're gonna get contributions from your best player. That just happens. It's the playoffs.
Yeah, down the stretch of playoff games like this, the guys that are normally left are guys that you're going to consistently be able to get great performances from. Say what you want about Tatum, when he needs to show up, he does show up sometimes. It shows that even if he has a stinker performance, that he will come back next game better. I don't know what you get from him next game because technically he did shoot really well this one. Maybe you get more defensive intensity from him.
For me, if I were to point a guy out from this Celtics roster that did not perform up to standard, I'd say I point out Al Horford. 1 for 5 for three, 3 for 8 from the field, only 6 rebounds. He did some things right, but for the most part, he just didn't impact the game as much as he should have, especially with 31 minutes in the game.
He was
Uh,
playing really good defense in the first half. All right, Mike.
yeah, but it
Actually,
was
I do have to go.
all right. No, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, though. I can't wait for game 2 because
Honestly, I cannot. All
this
right.
is gonna be
Thank
good.
on
All
God.
right, bro.
Thank you. Subscribe, all that, whatever. Goodbye.
Yeah, make sure to subscribe.
Yeah.